Hey, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Kaylee, and this is a Read Rant Review, where, you guessed it, I read books and I do rant reviews. I read a bunch of crazy books, and then I give you a beat by beat, chapter by chapter breakdown of them so that we can gossip together, right? Consider this a little besties informal book club situation, or I read a book so you don't have to. Today we're going to be talking, oh, I hate this. I've been meaning to do this book for like months and I've just been putting it off. It is Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. This is book 1 in the Ruinous Love trilogy. Currently on Goodreads, it's sitting at a 4.01 with almost 600,000 ratings. This was published in 2023, and honestly, I would consider it like a little bit of a cult classic in terms of the like dark romance, you know, world adjacent thing. You know what I'm trying to say. Very cult classic vibes for that particular community, in my opinion. To be frank, if you couldn't tell by the initial reaction, I wasn't a huge fan. There was nothing like terribly wrong with it, right? I say this in all my videos, basically almost here recently. I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. If you enjoyed it, I love that so much for you. I thought it was like almost campy in a way. And just, I don't know, we'll unpack it more. I have very mixed feelings toward it though. Before we get into the review, I'll give you the same 3 disclaimers that I have on all of my videos. I'll also do a really quick shout out, and then we'll dive right in. So first and foremost, I have this hoodie on that says I have really cool tattoos under here, but I'm cold. And I love American traditional tattoos. Not that you guys have any reason to ever like see my shins, but I have some really beautiful American traditional pieces on my shins. And then you guys do see my arms a lot of the times. So I love that style. And more recently, I found an artist on Instagram, Casey Bombshell, and I'll have her Instagram linked in the description box below. Layla is so freaking cool, and look at some of the stuff that I've gotten from her. Okay, we have a custom Read Rant Review heart piece thing. We have this beautiful sick ass panther, and today this is the one I'm so excited about. I get to kind of open it with you guys. I've mentioned her before on the channel. Pretty much like anytime I get one of these pieces, I just like gush over it. And I got this one, and I haven't taken it totally out of the wrapping yet because I was so pumped that I was like, this is going to be so fun to do with you guys. If only I could figure out how to even begin to unwrap it. If there's anything that Layla does, she packs these like their life depends on it. We're almost there. Okay. Also, I saw something the other day on Instagram talking about being like nonchalant. No, being nonchalant is so lame. Be chalant. Be excited. Be happy about stuff, dude. Who cares? Who gives a f***? Be giddy. Look at this little guy. He's so cute. He's literally the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire freaking life, dude. This is so funny. I love him so much. Oh my god. I don't even want to stop looking at him. He's just so precious. Like I said, I'll have Layla's shop linked in the description box below. And then we're going to be doing a little 90s kind of brown vampy look today, I think is my goal for the makeup look today. I say that and then I do like the exact same makeup every single time. It's like always the same thing. We'll see if I'm able to do something different though. So anyway, so with all of that being said, thank you so much for letting me have my little soapbox. I'll go ahead and read you the book description and then the final disclaimers, and we'll get right into it, okay? So if you're wondering, Kaylee, what is Butcher and Blackbird even about? Every serial killer needs a friend. Every game must have a winner. When a chance encounter sparks an unlikely bond between rival murderers, Sloane and Rowan, and yeah, I'm probably going to say Salone instead of Sloane. That is the #1 complaint that I get on any of my videos when that name comes up. I'll try not to, like I'll be cognizant of it, but I will inevitably begin saying it incorrectly, okay? Unlikely bond between rival murderers, Sloane and Rowan. The two find something elusive, the friendship of a like-minded, pitch-black soul. From small-town West Virginia to upscale California, from downtown Boston to rural Texas, the two hunters collide in an annual game of blood and suffering, one that pits them against the most dangerous monsters in the country, tree. But as their friendship develops into something more, the restless ghosts left in their wake are only a few steps behind, ready to claim a more than just their newfound love. Can Rowan and Sloane dig themselves out of a game of graves, or have they finally met their match? Dun, dun, dun. So yeah, they're two serial killers that kill other serial killers, and they meet each other on one of these little times when they're out doing their own thing, like individually, happen to cross paths. And so begins a game that they play for the next 5 years where they're gonna like meet up and try to kill the serial killer first or something, like figure out who it is and off that person before the other one does, and the best of 5 wins. That's the entire book. It's, like I said, it's very Dexter meets Criminal Minds meets some other type of, you know, thing like that is what I would say. And this hoodie did not last long. We're already taking it off, and I haven't even gotten into the book itself yet. Isn't this so fun? Wee! You guys are going for a ride. Okay, maybe that's too low. Hold on. I have a standing desk now. Can you tell? I'm so excited about it. Somebody saw me balancing you guys on my paper towel roll and said, girl, we can do better than that. But that discussion is for another video. So our book opens with Sloane, like we talked about. She is in her mid-20s. She is, like we kind of mentioned in the prologue, not in the prologue, in the book description, she is a serial killer known as the Orb Weaver. And Orb Weaver, because she, like, didn't give you the other warnings. Hold on a second. Let me give you the other disclaimers before we dive right into this. The first disclaimer is that this review is not for the author. It's not for friends, fans, family, stans, anything of the like. Like I said, I'm not a super, super big fan of this book, so I will be like cracking a couple jokes along the way. Don't make it weird. The other disclaimer that I like to put on these videos is that this will contain all of the spoilers. Like I said, beat by beat, chapter by chapter breakdown. I don't know what else you would really expect. And the third and final disclaimer, which is what I need to tell you before I continue telling you about chapter 1, is a content or trigger warning that just lets you know kind of what we're getting into. Lucky for us, the author does provide this in the book itself. And Brynne tells us, as much as Butcher and Blackbird is a dark romantic comedy and will hopefully make you laugh through the madness, it's still dark. Please read responsibly. If you have questions about this list, please don't hesitate to contact me. She provides that information, as well as her social media platforms. So, the warning list, and also, I guess before I get into that, the dark romantic comedy thing, what was the other one? With the blue cover. He's the stalker. And then I read the other one. Caught Up was the second one. Oh no, what's the other one called? You know what I mean, the stalker one. I covered that one instead of doing this review a couple of months ago now. Oh my god, how do I know the name of the second book but not the first one? Into Darkness? Oh no, well hold on, let me finish putting on my primer. I'm gonna have to look that up or that's gonna like drive me bonkers. Oh, Into Darkness is the series. Dude, you have to give me that one. That was pretty impressive that I pulled that out of my butt. The first one's called Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. The whole dark romantic comedy thing is like such a funny, specific niche genre to me. Anyway, I'm avoiding telling you about these things. Can you tell? Okay. Content and trigger warning. Eyeballs and eye sockets. Amateur surgery. Skin ornaments. Chainsaws, axes, knives, scalpels. A lot of sharp objects. Accidental cannibalism. Not so accidental cannibalism. Questionable use of a mummified corpse. Lobotomized manservant. Ill-advised use of kitchen implements. I'm sorry about the cookies and cream ice cream. I'm not really. Sorry. I forgot. Oh, I'm really about to vomit. I forgot about that particular scene. I think I blocked that from my memory. I haven't read this book in like 6 months. Oh, hold on. Let me get myself together. That's a gross one. I'm not even going to talk about that one in this, honestly. Honest to God. I might actually puke. Talk about that one. So you know what? Hey, if you're here in my review, you don't have to worry about the cookies and cream ice cream. I'm not telling you. Anyway, there's also detailed scenes, which include but are not limited to Okay. Yeah, lots of detailed, spicy scene words that I don't think I can say on YouTube, especially in a row. References to parental neglect and child abuse, parental loss not depicted. References to child SA not in detail. And it's a book about serial killers, so there's some generally messed up murder and chaos. And the book is dedicated to, for those of you who read the trigger warnings and said accidental cannibalism, count me in. This one's for you. Okay. In the playlist, which they also included a QR code if you wanted to tune in. Oh, they broke it down. Wow, actually, I never paid attention to this. They broke down the playlist by chapter, like what songs to play as you're reading along. Well, that's kind of neat. It's actually a pretty good lineup, like a wide variety. It's not, solely songs from Reputation by Taylor Swift or like Billie Eilish and stuff like that we usually see on these. Or what's the other one? Usually you'll see a couple of like, not Sleep Token, not Dayseeker. Is it Deftones? I think Deftones is the other one that's on a lot of these types of playlists that I like expect to see on these. And or Closer by 9 Inch Nails, I feel like I see on a lot of these. Or Tear You Apart by She Wants Revenge. Those are on like every single dark romance playlist that I've ever seen in the beginning of the books. It's not on this one. So we're so far ahead. We don't have Taylor Swift, Deftones, or She Wants Revenge. Dude, we are so far ahead. We are already like in the green for this book so far. The bar is in hell. Okay, fine, shut up. I'll talk about the freaking book now. Sorry. Butcher and Blackbird opens up, like I said, Sloane. I think she's 26 years old. She is currently, it would open, this book would open as would a like 90s comedy TV show where it like record scratch. Bet you're wondering how I got here. She's locked in a cage of a guy that she just killed. She is a serial killer, like I had described before, who kills other serial killers. She's known as the Orb Weaver because she will pluck out the people's eyeballs and puts up this like really intricate web thing where she like connects the eyes, and apparently it is like a map of where all of their prior crimes or where their victims were found, like where all of that had taken place. So it's kind of like a little geographic map layout, symbolic expression of art. And the FBI has not been able to piece that together yet, that's the significance of what she is creating. But that's how she got her name, Orb Weaver. 3 days ago, she had murdered a guy, but in the process, she got trapped in his house in like one of the cages that he had created dedicated to his victims. And yes, if you've been on the channel for a while, this is one of the more darker books that we've covered in a minute, so don't be surprised, okay? I will try to keep it lighthearted. Honestly, the book keeps it lighthearted, but in general, the content is pretty dark, like we talked about, so I would like to reiterate that. And if you've got to click off at any point, no hard feelings at all. Protect your peace, okay? So she's in the middle, 3 days of this, of like starving and thinking that she's going to die here, and she is losing her mind, singing a song to herself. That song being Blackbird by the Beatles. And in the middle of singing, she ends it, saying like, sorry for her wicked ways. And all of a sudden she hears this man's voice, and he's like, that's a shame. I wish I could see your wicked ways. Ugh. And she looks up, and it's this like really, really beautiful Irish guy. He has this really, really thick Irish accent. Don't worry, I will not subject you to my piss poor attempt at an Irish accent. I will not embarrass myself like that today. I couldn't even begin if I tried. I have watched so much Jacksepticeye in my life, and I still know enough to not even attempt that accent. And I'm just going to keep dropping all the random like YouTube people that I watch, because every single time I do, people are like, oh my God, I love them, crossover. So at the end of this video, I think I'm just going to rattle off all of my like current YouTube channels that I'm like obsessed with, and we can all have a bonding moment, okay? Regardless, this like really, really hot guy shows up, and he's like, hey, what are you doing here? You're not this guy's type, i.e. you're like too old for him. And she's like, how would you know his type? And we find out that this Irish guy, he is known as the Boston Butcher. His name is Rowan, and he too, I feel like I'm just like repeating myself so much. He is a serial killer who kills serial killers. And so he had come out this way to try and catch this guy. He's like, you've never heard of me? She says no. She's very clearly lying, but she says no. He's about to walk away because she won't tell him who she is. Because he knows, like I said, that she's not one of this guy's victims. And she eventually admits that she is the orb weaver. And this man, I swear to God, basically gets on his hands and knees and is like worshiping her. And he's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's so nice to meet you. I knew that you weren't a man. I knew that the FBI had it wrong. You had to have been a woman, blah, 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 blah. Like groveling about this and wanting to take her on a date, essentially. And so he's like, hey, let's get you out of here. Let's get you in some new clothes because you're all covered in blood and mess. And then let's burn the house down and go grab some lunch. And that's exactly what they do. When we go into chapter 2, they are having lunch at a little diner, you know, talking about life and whatnot. Very in the absolute open public area, talking about murder and why they do it and why don't you go by Blackbird? Why do you go by the Orb Weaver? And she's like, I didn't pick the name, and Blackbird is for me personally. The Orb Weaver's for the public. And so he decides that he's going to call her Orb Weaver, and that's going to be, oh my God, this was really, really light. I did not expect that to be such a mismatch on my foundation. Oopsies. Okay, YOLO, whatever, we're going with it. Hello? What was I saying? He decides that he's just going to call her Orb Weaver, or no, he decides that he's going to call her Blackbird. Like, that's going to be his little pet name for her. We get that established so freaking early in this book, and I guess it's a cute one. It's a different one for sure, so I'm not going to complain, because at least he's not calling her, like, little one or whatever dumb bullshit that we get in a lot of these books, right? So I can't complain. I will withhold my judgment for the most part. They have their lunch, they have their fangirling. She finally admits to knowing him and knowing his, like, MO and whatnot. And he, again, really, really likes her. And not only does he decide to give her this nickname, but he decides that he wants to go on another date with her. And so they talk about this other serial killer that's in the Pacific Northwest. Hey, future Kaylee here. I realize this is actually, there's a callback later. So at the diner, they decide that he wants to continue meeting up with her. And so he sets up a way that they can meet. And so he takes a little napkin and he writes on it, Butcher and Blackbird, right? The Boston Butcher and his nickname for her, the Blackbird. Annual August showdown. 7 days, tiebreaker by rock, paper, scissors, best of 5. Winner takes the Forest Phantom, which is this, like, very, very elusive serial killer that nobody knows anything about. So that's going to be like the pretext context of their competition that they're going to go on. Okay, remember this little piece of paper. This is going to come back in, like, I don't know, an hour and a half. How long is this video? It's like in the very last chapter. Okay, just remember this little piece of paper. Just remember it. And they decide that a year from now they are going to meet up, try to find this guy, and the first one to kill him wins. Wins what? I don't know. Why was this necessary in any way? I don't know. But they have found camaraderie in each other, and they have decided that this is just the next logical step. Yep, that's the only context. And so when we go into chapter 3, it is a year later, and she is in the middle of killing a dude, and she takes a call from her BFF, Lark. Yes, Lark. She is the main female character in the second book, Leather and Lark. And she has a whole bunch of backstory, back drama that gets significantly explored, like 3/4 of the way, maybe halfway through this book, and then obviously very much more so in book number 2. So they're talking, and the biggest thing is that Lark is a musician and she travels a whole bunch, and so she's best friends with Sloane, but she's just not around very often, and she's telling Sloane how she needs more friends, and they talk about her, you know, boy troubles, and maybe she's just like, really hasn't hit it off with anybody. And honestly, Sloane doesn't really care because she still is kind of tripping over this Rowan guy. And also, she has a hard time connecting with people because she's a serial killer, and it's kind of a not very popular hobby, you know? It's kind of hard to find anybody that you can bond with over how you spend your Sunday afternoons. She expresses all of this to her friend, and then her friend just encourages her more about this competition. She's literally just like waiting for the phone call to start this year's competition, right? So she's just like hanging out, getting anxious, and that's why she's talking to Lark about it. And so when we cut over to Rowan, he has two brothers. His older brother is Lachlan. He is the love interest in book number 2. Spoiler, I guess. He owns like a leather shop, leather crafter, whatever the terminology would be, out in Boston. He's also, I think, like a private hire assassin type guy. So he has all of this like crazy information that he's able to pull, and he knows more than the government does. It literally says that in the book. And so he collects all of this information to give to Sloane and Rowan so they can go on this competition thing, right? So he texts them both the location at the exact same time. They have 7 days to figure out who it is, and then they'll get a new person each August, and then best of 5 wins, like I explained earlier. This is just when it finally like spells it out formally in the book. Why 5? I don't know. Why does there need to be a competition at all? I don't know. Why can't you just go on a freaking date and bone like normal people? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Wish I knew. Wish I could give you some logic here. And again, I'm not going to front. I took some notes, and I read this book like 6 months ago, so I might be a little cloudy, a little fuzzy on some stuff, but I do have the book like with me that I'm kind of like clicking through as well as I'm doing this review. So hopefully I'm not missing too much. But if I'm saying something egregious, please comment down below if I miss like an important plot point or something, you know? I'm open to criticism. I'm not, but I am, sure. Cut to chapter 4, and Rowan is again talking to his brothers. This time he's talking to his youngest brother, Fionn. It's Fionn, which I know is not how you say that name. And I know that you Irish folk say stuff crazy. Fionn, it is Fionn. Look at me. I mean, that's not a very complicated one, but hey, let me take my wins where I can get them, bro. Anyway, so his youngest brother is Fionn, and he is a doctor in Nebraska, where the 2 other brothers are located out of Boston. And then, like we said, Lachlan is a paid assassin. He knows the whole like criminal underbelly. They're talking about how Rowan is about to start this competition thing, and they're telling him, at least Fionn is, he's like, hey, I don't think this is like a very good idea. And Lachlan says, well, it's too late. Rowan's already like head over here, heels for this girl. So just let him do what he has to do to try and bond with somebody, because this poor man needs a girlfriend. So it begins. Lachlan sends Rowan and Sloane the information. And don't worry, I know I'm saying a lot of names. Hopefully you're watching visually. I should have a name list appearing on the side right about now. So I'll have like Sloane and anybody associated with her, and then we'll have the main male character and anybody associated with him down in this general area on the screen if you're watching visually, just so you can keep along with me. I know there's a whole bunch of names, and I know it gets so confusing. And I do see you guys when you guys thank me for doing a name list, and I would just like to acknowledge that. I do see it, and I do appreciate the thanking of it. I'm glad that the work does not go unnoticed. And I also know I used to do all of the text at the bottom. I used to do the, oh my freaking God, subtitles. And I fell out of that habit really, really bad, mostly just because of my posting schedule, and then with my job, I just don't have time to put in the extra like 4 hours that it takes to do that. I'm hoping one day here soon I'll be able to get like an editor that will be able to help me with that, and I'll be able to kind of get ahead on my schedule and be able to start putting those back up. That is my plan. I didn't forget that. I know you guys really, really appreciated that piece as well, and I do want my videos to be as like accessible as possible to everybody, so I will get back in that habit once I have the like capacity and like the bandwidth to do so. So don't worry, I did not forget. I know that that is important to people, and I will get back there eventually, I promise. Anyway, Lachlan texts them the information, and so begins the competition. In chapter 5, they are at this really, really small, empty hotel. It's not like a very popular travel spot, and if anybody does come here, they usually stay in the Airbnbs. And so the hotel owner guy, he's a little weird. He's like a little off-putting, but he's very grateful that they're there. They have 5 days to figure out this whole crime thing, and so in the meantime, at least on this first day, they're getting settled, and so they sit in the little hotel lobby all by themselves and drink a little bit of wine and just kind of like hang out, unwind, you know, maybe flirt a little tiny bit. And we get a little bit more background information, at least about Rowan, and he is a chef in Boston. He owns a place called 3 and Coach. It's named that because his brothers and him immigrated to the United States, and when they did so, he had asked for 3 tickets in coach, right? Like 3 in coach for them to be able to fly to the US. So that's where he got the name from, which is pretty cool. I think that's actually like such a sweet little tidbit of information. I did my eyebrow way too low. Oh, my eyebrows are bad today. Oh no. It's not very 90s of me. I should have done them thinner. Should just shave them off entirely and commit to the look. Shave them off and then go in like really, really thin. Anyway. Ooh, they're so dark. Okay, don't look at those. The other thing is, as they're sitting the other thing is, as they're sitting at the hotel, you know, kind of whatever, talking, and the hotel guy comes up and he asks them what they're doing there. Like, what are you guys visiting for? What are you guys up to? Where are you going to go? And they talk about hiking, because that's kind of literally the only thing to do in this random area. And he tells them to be careful because there's been a couple hikers that have gone missing recently. And so just to be safe, they say, noted, thanks, coach. And they go back to their hotel rooms. They have, the next day is a research day. So they're kind of doing their own things, right? They're in a competition ultimately. And she's out running around doing her own thing. And then that evening when she comes back, he hears her come back and he decides that he's going to be a little nosy Nelly. And he puts his ear up to her hotel room and he's listening as she's like clanging around doing a bunch of stuff. And then he hears her vibrator. And then he hears his name. Oh, hello. Is his reaction. He's like, there's no way, but his name's Rowan. How many names sound similar to that she would be saying, right? And so before he can process this, before he can, you know, knock on her hotel room door and be like, hey, let's make this happen, he hears someone else. Like he hears some weird rustling, some weird noises going around. And he looks over and the painting that is on the wall, kind of like next to him, it's eyeballs, like real human eyeballs kind of cut out into the eyeballs of the painting. And there's a person in the space between their 2 hotel rooms. Like there's like a little hallway kind of happening between here. And there's somebody in the middle also watching and listening in on Sloane. So absolute chaos happens. So he tries to like attack the person through this painting. She hears the commotion and starts freaking out. And then he begins to chase this person down the hallway, but they disappear around the corner. And then she opens up her door and she's like, WTF is going on? He tries to explain and she's like, no, you sicko pervert. It was you. I know, like, blah, 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 blah. And then he shows her the creepy room between their 2 rooms, like the creepy space between their 2 rooms. She's forced to believe him that there was, in fact, some other creepy person. And then they realize, oh my God, this guy must be the murderer. What? You can be a pervert and not be a serial killer, but I mean, I guess so. I guess what are the chances that you have both of those things happening in the same vicinity? But I don't know, man. I just felt like that was a lot of assumptions to jump to. So they go chase him down. He is in his car trying to drive away. Like throwing it in reverse, trying to drive away. And Rowan jumps on the hood of his car, banging on it, going like Super Saiyan mode on this guy's vehicle, trying to get him to stop. Dude throws it in drive. He's about to run into a tree. She yells at Rowan, letting him know that dude's about to run into a tree. He does. Rowan flies off the car, but he was prepared for it, so he doesn't, you know, get got. Gets out, pulls the guy out of the car, starts yelling at him. Sloane comes up and she's like, hey, you know, they have her and him have a little bit of like a tiff, I guess, about who gets to off him. And Rowan's like, he's mine. And then goes crazy on this guy. Like disturbingly crazy that Sloane goes to leave. You know how bad it has to be that you just scared a serial killer away? You know how aggressive you have to be? He, afterward, kind of like snaps out of this weird haze that he was just in, attacking this guy. Hey, let's be honest, he was attacking the guy because he was hurting Sloane, and Rowan is like obsessed with Sloane, right? He's already like madly in love with her, and this guy almost hurt her, and so he went into this blind rage, okay? Let's be honest about what's happening. And you're thinking, Kaylee, what do you mean he went into a blind rage of love for a woman he's met twice now? Hey, don't look at me like that. I don't know. I'm telling you the story. I'm not the writer. I don't know. That's all the information we have. I don't know. Tension, what's that? Build up, what's that? Insta-love is what we have. And so she goes away. Again, he scared her off. And so he like falls to his knees once he snaps out of it and starts screaming and like calling her name and sounding, I think she talks about it later, but he sounds like a little boy that like got abandoned, and he sounds like a wounded animal just like crying out for her. And she comes back because she's like, hey, okay, hey buddy, it's okay, pal, like snap out of it. Here I am, it's all right. Like, talk about freaking horrifying, bro. Sorry, I'm trying to matte down this lipstick. It's like way too glossy. I'm not a glossy lip girly. I'm definitely a matte lip. She comes back up. She gives him a hug. They, I don't know, hug it out, bond, and then they're like, okay, well, we have to figure this out. We got to get rid of this and get rid of the evidence that we were here. So they spend the next 3 days doing that. They're gonna like hang out in the hotel room and get rid of all evidence that they were there. And then they burn the place down when they're leaving. Luckily, it's not like a popular spot anyway, so I guess they didn't have a problem having to deal with any of that stuff, you know? I guess literally nobody else made a booking for the next 3 days. Dude doesn't have any, like, neighbors or visitors or anything. He's just some creepy guy out in the woods, apparently. So when they leave this time around, they begin texting. They're still only going to see each other once a year, right? That's the whole plan, which is very the same vibes as the movies One Day. There's like a 1950s one and then a 2011 version of it where they meet once a year. So similar vibe. However, in this time around, at least in this like year cycle after killing this last guy, they start texting and talking and whatnot. And so we get it from Sloane's POV, and we get a little bit more information about that night. And this is where we learn even more about him scaring the ever-loving crap out of her when he went on that weird rampage thing. She took the guy's cat, like the hotel owner serial killer guy that they like offed. She took his cat, which sounds like a terrible idea. Did it have a chip? How do you know that it wasn't getting tracked down? You just took it on the airplane with you? You had to buy an extra ticket? How did any of this happen? You don't buy tickets for a cat, but I think it's like a special marking on your luggage that you're traveling with an animal and stuff, you know what I mean? Or if you're going to like have it as like a little carry-on thing with you. You think that this would be like a trackable offense or something. I don't know. It's just odd. It's all just weird. So she has a guy's cat, and she's kind of having like a crisis this particular time when she's talking to Lark about everything that happened. Lark, her best friend, right? And she's telling Lark how she almost left when he was freaking out and how guilty she feels about that, like about leaving, and how she's like so nervous to get close to anybody and she doesn't want to get close to him. And, you know, maybe that's why I was going to leave when, you know, stuff got hard. I feel like stuff getting hard isn't a man like going crazy and killing somebody, but sure. She's like, you know, I just have a real problem with intimacy and I don't know how to get over it. And Lark says, it's fine, girl. You didn't actually leave him. Like, you did stay. So that counts for something. So, like, stop beating yourself up about it. And then 3 months into texting and them getting closer and, like, nonstop talking, she decides that she's going to go to Boston because she wants to go and see him. But she is a relatable queen, and she's too nervous to tell him and say anything because she doesn't want it to be real. And she is, in fact, afraid of intimacy. And I don't know, she needs to be around him, though, and kind of see if these feelings are real and just see him. So she flies to Boston, doesn't give him a heads up at all, and wanders into his restaurant. She's from North Carolina. I don't think I said that ever. So she's from North Carolina. He's from Boston. She decides to randomly take a trip up there and go to his restaurant, right? She knows the name of it. They've talked enough and, you know, the whole 3 and coach thing. So she decides to show up without saying anything to him about it. She gets seated and proceeds to get very, very nervous, and she wants to leave. And so instead she decides to sketch a picture of a raven and try to like pass some time and calm her nerves. And then Lachlan, his youngest brother, walks in with a group of friends, and she gets nervous. She tries to pay for her dessert that she ordered and leave as quickly as she can. But before she does, she gets stopped. Rowan is like, oh my God, Sloane, what are you doing here? This is so crazy. And then he yells at the hostess because the hostess apparently was supposed to know that if like Sloane ever came into the restaurant, she was supposed to contact him. And I was like, oh, actually, that's like kind of sweet. But how is the waitress supposed to know what Sloane looked like? And so then the assumption would only be that he has like somehow like let all of these people know her and to be like expecting if she ever comes in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just very cute. I just like spit everywhere. That was so embarrassing. I got so excited I forgot to swallow. But she... Anyway, so he like pulls her aside, pulls her back to a table, and he's like, oh my God, you have to stay, you have to meet my friends. Like, he's like, what are you even doing here? And she says that she's there on a work trip. I cannot for the life of me remember what she does for work. I think it's just some generic IT stuff. If I had to take a guess in the cliche, lead, quirky, awkward female, main female character, Rolodex of careers, IT is like the number one that I would expect in this situation. I'm saying that as like a IT background professional person, okay, I can talk shit about the career field. So quirky. And anyway, so she's like, yeah, I'm here on a work trip. And he says, oh my God, that's so cool. Here, you got to come meet my friends. She tries to leave, but he doesn't let her. And so he drags her over to this group of friends. And then this really, really gorgeous woman named Anna comes in and gives Rowan a hug. And she feels so inadequate and ugly and just not like good enough to even be anywhere in these gorgeous people's vicinities, right? She has her black hair is a little greasy and she's not really dressed incredibly nice, especially compared to this woman in this group of people. And so she's like, okay, yeah, for real, I have to go now. Basically storms out of the restaurant, leaving behind her picture that she drew, and then proceeds to completely ignore Rowan for the next couple of days. Again, she's not there for work. She lied to him, but blows him off over the next couple of days that she is in Boston, never really gets the courage to go and see him again or anything, and decides to just leave and like not text him back until she's back in North Carolina. And when we go into chapter 9, Rowan, in response to this, kind of understanding that maybe she chickened out of seeing him or got nervous or whatever, decides that it's his turn to go to North Carolina and surprise her. So he goes down there, does not make his presence known in any way, but what he does is actually probably the cutest thing that I've ever seen in a romance book, and that says a lot. He hires a kid to deliver groceries, gives this kid like $100 to just go and bring these groceries to Sloane's doorstep, and then waits, right? He's watching her from across the street, and she texts him and she's like, hey, did you get groceries delivered to my house? And he calls her and he's like, yeah, I did. I wanted to cook with you like I should have done when you were visiting me in Boston. And so then he goes on to walk through like step by step of her cooking dinner for herself, because she's like gonna eat ramen. She doesn't cook at all, right? And so this is her first time really cooking and getting fancy with it, and he's just watching her through the window, which is really creepy but really, really cute. He's like talking her through all of the steps. It's adorable. Along the way, this happens over like the course of a couple of days, okay? And along that time, they talk more and more, and they get to know each other a little bit more, and we learn some more backstory about Sloane. And he asks why she's not an artist, right? Between the orb weaver stuff, she's made some comments about doing art before and how beautiful this raven drawing was. He's like, why is that not your full-time job? And she says that it doesn't pay enough, for one, and for two, it's ruined for her. And she solely paints in black and white and only does black and white drawings, and like all color has been taken out of her art for her. And you can only imagine that, like, inevitably, of course, in the very final chapter of the book, she's going to get her color back and she's going to start using color in her artwork again. And it's the most like cliche thing ever. And I hate that so much, but I kind of love it. It gets me every time. But she goes on to tell him that, like, she does get to express herself through art whenever she's doing her orb weaver stuff, that is a type of art. She flips it back on him and asks him about wanting to be a chef. And he talks about how he has always wanted to be one. Like, he's always loved cooking and how it helped give him an escape from his abusive father, and how, like, pretty much that his dad wouldn't beat him when he was cooking. Oh, horrible character lore drop there, but a good one nonetheless, I suppose. Like I said, this happens like 3 or 4 times, and on the final one, there's a really, really cute moment where he's been paying the kid the entire time, and so Rowan eventually, he's like, what do you want money for anyway, kid? Like, what are you doing? Are you being responsible with this? And the kid says that he's saving up to buy a PlayStation, and so then Rowan gives him the rest of the money to be able to just buy one outright, because he's impressed by the kid's work ethic or something, and it's just a little cutesy moment, okay? We also get information that Salome doesn't really have any other close friends or family, like no siblings or parents or anything that she really opens up about, right? And then he goes back to Boston, and he's just reflecting on how excited he is to see her, because their annual competition is already right around the corner. I guess it was a couple of months between her going to Boston and then him going to North Carolina. Whatever, my story was cuter. My timeline was cuter. Sorry, you guys are so far away. I feel like I need to be closer to you. Come closer, baby. Okay, sorry. Now that I can get my mirror and stuff out of the way, I just feel like we need to be, you know what I mean? We need to be more intimate. So we're going We're going into chapter 10. Hey, get it together. We are going into chapter 10. The title of this, they all have titles, by the way. I haven't been reading them. I'll run through them real quick, okay? Chapter 1 was Ichigo Ichii, Fun and Games, Ventricular Atelier, maybe is how you say that word, I don't know. 5 was Certainty, Susanna, Cubism Era, Underglass, Creance, and now Dijon. Now, these are all very obscure words that get taken out of random quotes within the chapter, which I appreciate a lot, because it's not like it's one random obscure word that does matter and makes sense in context of the chapter itself, but doesn't give away anything if you're just happen to scrolling through the chapter names, you know? I hate when the books, well, okay, part of me hates when you look at the chapter names and you know exactly what's happening in the chapter. Like, you're like, oh, I literally could just read this and I know everything that's going on. I hate it as a reader. I love that as a reviewer, because it's a good little reminder checklist for me as I'm going through taking my notes of like, oh yeah, that is what happened in chapter 10. That's helpful. But in this chapter, we cut to in the midst of the competition. They're at a fancy restaurant, and Salome is talking to their target. She and Rowan have both figured out who it is, and she is in the process of trying to kind of sort of seduce the guy and end up back at his house. It's not going too incredibly well, and especially does not go well when Rowan essentially crashes the date and says that they're together, and then flips it and reverses it and tries to impress the guy, and ends up getting both of them invited back to the guy's house. And they have dinner that night with him. They're going to go and have some dinner and some drinks, which is very sketchy. You're just like quite literally walking into the lion's den and knowing that this guy is probably actively trying to end your life. But okay, I guess. Except for the fact that Rowan had figured out that this guy is the serial killer, but mostly he figured it out for the fact that Salome had special interest in him, not that he did his research properly. So there is not very much that Rowan knows about this guy. One key thing that you would hope to know is that this guy is a cannibal. Kind of an important thing when you're about to go and have dinner with him. And I'm going to skip a lot of this chapter. I'm going to give you the very brief cliff notes, because if I go into too much detail, I will in fact hurl. They have dinner with him. He has this was the manservant that got referenced in the trigger warnings. So they're at the guy's house having dinner, and this other guy starts coming out to serve them food and give them drinks and whatnot. And he looks very like vacant-eyed, and he doesn't speak, and he doesn't really look them in the eyes, and it's really awkward, and he's kind of acting weird. And Salome looks over at Rowan, and she mouths the word lobotomy. Oh, okay, cool. Cool. They have some wine. Rowan drinks it like a dumbass, gets drunk, and then it was drugged. And so he passes out. She did not, and so she ends up staying awake. But in the process of him being drugged, he ends up saying that Sloane is the most beautiful woman in the world and that he hasn't done anything since he's met her because he's waiting for her. Jump scare. I don't know why it was so vague. He said that he's been celibate since he met her because he's like waiting for her. Oh, I love that. Okay, hey. We love a bit of truth serum. We love a bit of truth serum. And also, right before Rowan passes out, he takes a bite of the dinner that is served to them. And when he comes back to in chapter 11, she is in the middle of doing her orb weaver stuff. They talk a little bit. He denies remembering what he said about the whole abstinence and her being beautiful thing, but he does remember. He's just really afraid that she doesn't feel the same way about him, and so he doesn't want to scare her off or make it weird, but he is like head over heels obsessed with this woman. And mostly, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they have so much in common. Again, how many people are you going to find that have the same hobbies on a Sunday night, right? Or Sunday afternoon, whatever the heck I said earlier. You know, she knows the true him and she accepts him for who he is, and he knows her and accepts her. So like, it's a match made in hell. There is a very, very long thing talking about how beautiful her art is of this orb weaver stuff, because he was passed out for so long that it's like so intricate, and he's like, oh my God, this is beautiful. This is art. Quite literally, that's how like serious he gets. He's like, no, this is art. And I'll just read you this piece of it, right? Because he's like, oh, this is so much work. She glances at me, a hint of pink rising in her cheeks before she smirks and rolls her eyes. You probably think I should take up crochet and acquire 12 cats and start yelling at the neighborhood children to get off my lawn. Never. I turn toward her and hold her worry gaze. Well, maybe the yelling at neighborhood children part. I'll always condone that, but this Blackbird, this is art. Sloane's eyes soften. A faint smile tips up the corner of her lips. I could so easily lean down and inhale her scent. I could kiss her, run my hand into her raven hair, tell her I think she's brilliant and cunning and so fucking beautiful, that I have fun with her, that even though I feel like complete shit right now, I'm disappointed this year's game is nearly over because I hate watching her walk away. What we have now, it's not enough. I want more, but I'm afraid that trying to push for it will only drive her away. With the way she took off at the restaurant and how long it took to coax her back, that's a risk I'm not willing to take. I step back and mask my thoughts behind a cocky grin. I'm surprised you don't already have 12 cats, though. You seem like the cat hoarding type to me. Sloane wallops my arm, and I laugh. F*** you, pretty boy. You could make so much money as a cat litter influencer on Instagram. I was gonna let you do the honors and kill this pretentious fuckwit, but I totally take it back. With a final glare that has no real venom behind it, Sloane turns and heads back to the table to pull on a pair of latex gloves before picking up a scalpel. Oh, he is still alive. I thought he was dead. My bad. He is still alive, and so she goes on to end his life while saying that he reminds her of someone that she once knew. The man you remind me of, he presented such a civilized mask to the world, yet underneath he was a devil. He promised the best education, the best opportunities for students gifted in the arts. He promised a safe place to learn and the best chance for getting into the most exclusive universities for those of us whose parents were wealthy enough to pay the price. And since mine were never around, they didn't notice the price I truly paid. I could take it, she says. I could cope. I had an end in sight. And in a way, I was learning. I was learning how to keep my rage and darkness beneath a mask so I could carry on in the world. So I kept my mouth shut as I gave pieces of myself away. But you know the one price I could not pay? She asks as she stops behind the guy. Her smile is gone. She stares straight ahead, her eyes nearly black in the dim light. Her voice is low and drips with menace when she says, the price I could never pay was Lark. And then she continues to go on in this whole rant about how the first guy that she killed was the guy from the university because he was abusing Lark. We just trauma dump the shit out of this character and the build up and anything that you had maybe were thinking or wanting to know about her, presented in the most villainous, what is it called when they rant? Oh no, you think I would be better at my job? Monologue. The most villainous, cartoony monologue in the entire world. It is cringy, and this is what I mean about the book being campy, is there's certain parts of it and there's certain, I don't know, maybe jokes or cliches or whatever that is written into it where I'm like, this has to be intentional. You had to be taking the piss when you wrote this, right? There's no way that you wrote this seriously after the way that some other stuff has been written and presented. Like, this could have been done so much better. I had faith in the author that they could do better, but the way they wrote it, I'm like, is this intentionally bad? Is this intentionally, like I said, cartoonishly bad to be campy? Or is this just like millennial humor, cringe storytelling in book form? Am I being a judgmental ass? Is what I ask myself constantly as well, which is, all of these things could be true. No, this isn't like a mutually exclusive, discussion that I'm having with myself. I can't tell. I honest to God, I can't tell. So she continues to go on this rant for multiple more paragraphs about how I made a vow in the dark that I would wipe out everyone like him that I could find, that I wouldn't stop until I found the worst, the darkest, the most depraved, and I would erase them from the world one at a time. And I promised myself that I would never let anyone hurt someone I cared about ever again. This is me keeping my promise. And then off's the guy. And then they go around the house looking for the servant guy. His name is David. They're trying to find him. And he, like I said, maybe had a lobotomy, as referenced. He's just not like 100% fully there. She's worried about him because they're like, they don't really know what to do with him. I guess somehow they know that he doesn't have any friends or family to take care of him. The way that David gets talked about really, really bothers me, and it felt like such an unnecessary character to throw in this story as like oh my God, look how wholesome and caring the main male character is, which I revisit and I go back to and I know I talk about this woman constantly, and I'm so sorry, I wish I didn't have to, but it's relevant. Every Colleen Hoover book that I've ever read has a character that has a like physical or mental disability and is used to prove how like amazing the main male character is because of how accepting they are of the main female characters. Sibling is usually what it is. Sibling or parent or random neighbor kid. I think in almost all of her books, there is some child with some type of disability that the main male character proves that he's like supportive of or something, right? In Too Late, there was a random student of theirs that had, it was in the book labeled Asperger's. In Reminders of Him, the neighbor had Down syndrome, I believe. And then in, what was it? I think also in Too Late, I think her brother also had a disability of some sort and he was in like a care home. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many of them. It's like, it's such a little token character just to prove something. I don't know, but it's doing the opposite. It's making me wildly uncomfortable and I don't like it. Jump scare. You're seeing me so much tonight. Also, Lucy Score did it in one or two of her books as well, that there is the cop. It's in the second Lucy Score book. The cop gets called to an apartment and there is a child with, I believe Down syndrome, that is like having an episode. And so he has to go and help. And he like somehow learns empathy through this experience. And it's supposed to be like this very, very meaningful like thing. And that book was published in 2021. Really weird time to be posting like empathetic cop content. But anyway, I am only making this video and this little portion of like editing Kaylee commenting to make it very, very clear that it's not the having those characters that makes me uncomfortable. It's the way that disabilities are used. And it's the same thing when you have like the one gay guy or the one person of color that it just happens in these books and it's just a token thing. They're just used as like a caricature of a shell of a human being to prove and add character depth to the main male character to humanize him. And I think it's just really disgusting and icky. It can't just be a character that just like exists in their own way or like has any type of depth or meaningful relationship or meaning of anything other than somehow glorifying the main male character. I find it incredibly icky. I find it incredibly common, especially in these particular books and in the instances that I've listed just now. And it's just weird. And I don't get it. Like, you're doing it worse, actually. Like, by including that, now you're just making it weird when you could have just not done that at all. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm the too woke friend. Okay, goodbye. Go back to the video. And so in that way, Sloane says, hey, Rowan, look how good he's washing the dishes. We asked him to help us clean, and look how good he is at dishwashing. Will you have him work at your restaurant? I'll do whatever you want. I'll give you anything that you want in the world. I'll give you whatever favor If you can just hire David to be a dishwasher at your restaurant. What the fuck? What the fuck are we doing? What do you mean? So he agrees to this because he's just such a wholesome main male character. And they go to part ways, and they're saying, like, I think we're actually, like, best friends now. I lied, by the way, she says. I wish she'd return my gaze, but she doesn't. She can't bring herself to. So I take a second to memorize the details of her profile because I know the hardest part is coming, just like it did last year, just like it did in the restaurant. Lied about what? I ask. Sloane swallows, the only sound between us. And then her head turns, just enough to give me her eyes and a melancholy smile that tips up at the corner of her lips. The faint trace of her dimple coaxed into view. Boston. I wasn't there for a meeting. Her words echo in my head, and before I can absorb them or ask what she means, she hikes her bag higher on her shoulder and walks away. I don't just hate this part. I fucking loathe it. See you next year, Butcher, she says. And then she slips into her car and disappears into the night. I lied too, I want to say. But I just don't get the chance. Oh, lied to about remembering, about telling her that he was celibate or whatever. He did remember what he said. He should have admitted it. They just need to admit that they have feelings for each other. See, at least this book does the slow burn part. Like, yes, there's insta-love. Yes, there's, like, instant attraction, tension stuff. But at least they're not instantly doing it. You know what I mean? Like, there is some buildup in that regard that I do genuinely appreciate. I will give credit where credit is due. Look how cute we are together. I still can't get over this little sucker. I just saw him in the background. I was gonna put him back on my bookshelf, but I think this is where my, like, name list is, so you probably can't appreciate him in all his glory. It's a Texas size 10-4. That is from Letterkenny. Okay, fine. I'll keep talking about this book. Sorry, I took a break to take pictures for, well, Instagram, which, hey, you should follow me on Instagram if you're not. Usually I post behind the scenes stuff or dumb memes or, I don't know, just like random goofy stuff if you want to have some behind the scenes content. Go follow me over there. Read, Rant, Review. Read, Rant, Review on everything, by the way. Like that, TikTok, Spotify. I'm all over the place. But in chapter 12 of the book, which we're about 50% of the way through, this is a relatively quick read. It's 8 months later, and the favor that he wanted from her to go to a gala with him. And so she's back in Boston and she's getting ready. She's getting all dolled up fancy to go to this gala. And it's in preparation for him to be opening up another restaurant, which is so exciting. He's incredibly successful. He's a wonderful chef. It's all going great there. And he's just been busy with that. They also have been texting like nonstop, daily. And so this is another great excuse for them to, like, hang out and see each other outside of their once-a-year murder dates. And she's talking to Lark yet again and talking about how she's afraid to get into a relationship with Rowan because, like, what if she's unlovable? It's just so sad. Like, what if she finally gets in this and then he realizes that she's not what he expects her to be, or she's just, like, not good enough or not enough for him? Just so incredibly freaking sad. But, you know, Lark says, like, you deserve happiness and you should at least try it. Like, yeah, there might be some risk there, but it might be worth it. And also, he invited you to this gala of all of these people in the world that he could have invited. He wanted you. So obviously that means something. Like, he has some type of feelings for you. So, like, I wouldn't stress it too bad. She hangs up on Lark. She goes downstairs to the hotel lobby to meet with Rowan. They greet each other. He kisses her neck. In which case, I'm like, is that not evidence enough of this man's feelings? You think you just go around kissing people on the neck? Not where I'm from. Not where I'm from. They are at this event. It's going really great. You know, he's super charismatic and kind and talking to all these people, and she's, you know, having a hard time talking to folks. She can really turn the charm on, you know, whenever she's trying to pick up a serial killer to go and kill, like when she's in work mode. But when it's just normal chit chat, she has a very difficult time with it. And so she's struggling a little bit with this particular day, but doing the best that she can. But that also means that she has a lot of kind of like awkward alone time where she's just thinking about life. And she's like, I don't even know if I deserve happiness. Like, do Rowan and I, with all of the crazy stuff that we do, like, do we genuinely deserve happiness? Sorry, I just realized you're a little too high. I'm over here, like, looking up my nose at you. Okay, there we go. That's better. I love having an adjustable desk. I'm freaking addicted to this thing. So through the night, though, Rowan ends up coming up to her and he says, hey, I have a really like good surprise. I have a really, really cute little date surprise for you. And she's like, oh my God, what is it? And he says, there's this guy here that we're going to kill. And she's like, oh, you just invited me here to kill somebody. Like, you don't like me for me. she's like, oh, so this isn't romantic. This isn't like a romantic date. Like, he's literally just here to kill people with me. Like, what are you talking about? What is happening right now? So she's upset by this, and then he realizes that she's upset by this, and then he's like, oh my God, she came here just to hang out? I thought she came here expecting something out of this. This is even better. And it's that kind of level of miscommunication, not wanting to admit feelings that like we fall into yet again, where neither of them are totally open about what they're feeling. And then he gets a phone call that there is a problem at the restaurant, and so he has to go and scurry off to go and deal with that before they can come to an actual resolution with this. But she ends up leaving. He texts her and says that he misses her and he's sorry that he had to go, and she says that she misses him too, and that, you know, they both look forward to seeing each other again in whenever the heck it is, August or something. What's the time? I don't know. So at some point in the future for the competition. And that's exactly what we go into in chapter 13. They are out in Texas when they're about to kill a guy named Harvey Mead. Harvey Mead. Good old Texas. I don't know if they said exactly where they were. They go to Abilene, dilapidated 2-story house in Texas. No, we don't get a name drop of what city we're in. Oh man, I was hoping for some fun little random shout out. They show up to this house. It's gross. The book really oscillates. Hello? What kind of f***ing words am I using? The book really kind of like flips back and forth between like a normal kind of darker romance vibe to like a complete and utter gory, violent vibe. We are back into a gory, very gory, gross, violent portion of the book in a couple of chapters. So I'm going to start skimming quite a bit yet again. So they're at this guy's house in Texas. He is actively using a chainsaw on somebody and ending someone's life. So they go around the house trying to sneak around. They decide to go their separate ways to figure some stuff out. She's going around and she finds a room full of screens, like surveillance screens, like there's cameras all over the house. And she's looking at it, and on the camera, she's like following along the different cameras as Rowan moves through the house. And then she sees Harvey appear on the cameras. And then she sees Harvey sneaking up on Rowan. Uh-oh. Then they run into each other. She goes sprinting out to go try to save him. Does not work. He ends up getting attacked, and then she ends up in a cellar. He like Harvey goes chasing after her, like pushes her down a hill or something. She like hurts her shoulder really, really bad. And then he drags her into a cellar and like closes the little hatch on top. And so there's not like a ladder or any way to get out of it. And surprise, there's another woman in the cellar. Huh. Cool. Awesome. Along the way, by the way, I completely blacked this part out of my head and I wish I could forget it again. When Sloane was like poking around the house, she found Harvey's mother's corpse, like mummified corpse in the living room chair. Awesome. So cool. So cool. I love that. I love these types of books. And I am suddenly yet again reminded of why I stopped watching and consuming true crime. This is just a little bit too gory for me. I'm not going to lie. I think I'm just a baby. It's not even like the body. I hate body horror. Body horror stuff really, really messes with me. But just in general, like this level of violence, I'm just like, what's the point? I'm kind of over it. I was obsessed with true crime and this type of thing from like 2016 to maybe 2020. And then I think when the world just kept getting worse, I think I just like, I couldn't consume that material anymore. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it at all. Anyway, she's now in this cellar with this like random woman and they're talking and she's promising the woman that it's going to be fine and that she's going to kill Harvey and it'll all be good. And the woman's talking about how Harvey has just killed her, assumably like boyfriend or partner. Rowan appears. He pulls Sloane out of the cellar and then leaves the other woman there and tells her to stay there until they actually kill the guy. Oh my God, can you imagine how horrifying that would be to be that woman? You've sat there, you've been alone, just hearing your partner dying. Some other person appears and then gets taken out of the cellar and then you get left behind and you are once again just alone here by yourself, completely nude, losing like your freaking mind. She's not nude anymore. Sloane gave her like jacket or something that she had so she could like cover up or whatever. But still, the idea still stands that would be just horrific. But Rowan is looking at Sloane and he's like, checking her out, making sure that she's okay, and realizes that she might have a broken shoulder. And he's really upset by this. He's like really, really upset that he let her get hurt in such a way. And, he finally, maybe comes to terms a little bit that this isn't just a game, that they could actually get hurt and get injured. And I'm like, that's what it took. You guys have cumulatively together on hot dates, quote unquote hot dates, murdered like 3 people by now. And you're just now realizing that maybe this is a little problematic. Maybe this is a little alarming. Your very first time with that freaking hotel room, that guy was like actively spying on her and planning to end her life. And then now you're realizing that maybe people can get hurt? What do you mean? So they smooch. They accept their feelings for each other and they kiss. But the kiss gets interrupted by the woman that was in the cellar. She does end up escaping and she's like sprinting away. And then Harvey, the serial killer guy that they're there for, he goes chasing after her. They end up in the same, they're in a shed. Rowan took her into the shed so he could examine her and make sure she's okay. The woman also runs into said shed. It's like a hoarder's paradise though, so there's like stuff everywhere. They're hiding behind things. The woman comes in and then Rowan gets an axe and he's like waiting for Harvey to come running into the space. Does an axe. Doesn't kill the guy, just incapacitates him. And then they decide that they want to actually make this death long and painful for this man because he's just a horrible guy. Sloane goes into the house. She gets the mother's corpse. This is the trigger warning for the questionable use of a corpse or something, whatever the hell that weird one was. This is what that warning is for, okay? Goes inside, gets the mother's corpse. They have Harvey tied up. And then they touch the corpse, make him touch the corpse, or makes the corpse touch him, I guess, with her hand. And then pretends to talk and uses it as a puppet, talking about how bad of a son he is. Oh my God, dude. So he ends up freaking the out. He ends up having a heart attack and dying. And then they're like, oh, well, that was kind of lame. I wanted to do more. I don't know. So while all of that was happening, the girl that was there, she wandered off to assumably go and get help. And so then they're like, okay, well, let's get going, I guess. We probably need to get out of here before she finds some civilization and we got to burn the house down. So they do that. And then when they get done, they decide that they got to head to Nebraska because she is going to need a doctor for her shoulder. But obviously that's kind of questionable. So they decide that they're just going to steal a truck and drive to Nebraska to go and see Rowan's younger brother, Fionn. Okay, awesome. In chapter 15, she is on and off asleep on this drive up there. And when she wakes up and she looks in the mirror, she's like in the you know what I mean? The little passenger side mirror, flip down mirror thing. And she has bruises all over her face. She has a bruise of a boot mark on her face from where Harvey had hurt her. And when he had put her down in the cellar and stuff. And Rowan is you look like a goddess of vengeance. What the hell? Then they have a little bit of chit chat and she asks him how, Fionn, if he's a doctor, how does he feel about you and Lachlan doing your little shady things? Is that not weird for him? Is he approving of what you guys do? What the heck is that about? He says, he accepts us, after our kind of crappy childhood, everybody turns out a little bit different, and goes on to tell her, right, we learned her backstory about wanting to, end the lives of all of these, really dangerous people. His was a very similar thing. When he and his brother Lachlan ended their father's life, he didn't feel remorse or disgust or anything. He felt, accomplished, and so he decided that he wanted to improve the world and continue taking out all of the monstrous people out of it. And so that's why he's doing what he's doing. So a bunch of drama, it's not even drama, but there's just weird stuff that happens. And then eventually they get to Nebraska. And when they get to Fionn's house, he's not answering, or he does answer the phone and then tells them to just go inside because he's not at the house right now. And when they go in the house, there is a really angry lady with a crutch that hits them. And she's like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Get out. And is really, really trying to be intimidating, but she's described as this little tiny thing with this crazy accent. I can't remember where from. I'll look at it in a second here. And is questioning what they're doing there. He says that he's, brothers with Fionn. She doesn't believe it. They have this whole back and forth where he has to call his brother to prove it. And then she's like, well, if you did that to that girl, i.e., like, if you made Sloane so bruised, I don't want anything to do with you. Like, obviously you're a piece of crap. And she refuses to believe that he didn't do this. And it's this like banter discussion between them that I hated so much. I hated this character when she got introduced so much that I did not read the book for a week and a half. I was so irritated that I refused to touch this book. Completely and utterly refused to touch this book because I did not want to read another sentence from this character. And I'm pretty sure that she's the love interest in book number 3 that's like either just came out or is coming out very, very soon. Yeah, it came out in February of 25. Yeah, Scythe and Sparrow. Yeah, she's Sparrow. She's a motorcycle performer from the circus. Sorry, it's not funny. It's not funny. It's really sad. She has like a really, really sad background. I know, okay? And I'm sure she's likable, but like, just, I don't know what the hell it was. I don't know what happened. But when I had to read from this woman, I was like wanting to claw my freaking eyes out. Anyway, long story short, it doesn't really matter. She finally lets them into the house. And so they like try to get settled. So Sloane and Fionn go into the other room. He like finally shows up and he sets her shoulder back in place and gives her some pain medication and whatnot and like sends her to go and sleep it off. And in the meantime, Rowan and Rose are in the living room together, kind of like waiting this out, and she decides to read tarot cards for him. And the results of it, she gives him like a warning that there's going to be chaos and change and a whole lot of pain, but knowledge is going to come of it. And instantly he's like really, really afraid that he is going to somehow continue to have a negative impact on Sloane's life. And so he doesn't really want to continue to pursue her in any way because he doesn't want to hurt her like any more than he already did, because he feels right guilty and like responsible for what happened to her shoulder. When she wakes up from her nap in chapter 16, she's thinking a little bit and she's reflecting on what Rowan had told her about not really feeling guilty after he killed his father. And she felt the same way. Like after she, you know, ended that one guy's life after hurting Lark, she didn't feel anything but kind of like happiness and like redemption, right? Like she did the right thing there. And so she understands and she relates to him. And she wants to take a bath, understandably, right? After she gets up and she kind of realizes where she is and the pain. And she's still grimy and gross. Even though she changed clothes at some point, she's still just like dirty. Rose offers to give her a bath, but she wants Rowan to because she doesn't want anyone else to see her. So they go in, and you can imagine what happens next. They have their kind of like intimate moment times where he starts to give her a bath. And I haven't been reading you guys quotes, mostly because, like I said, a lot of it is just like, is it cringy? I don't know how to describe my feelings about certain stuff. So I'm just going to read it to you instead. They are in the bathroom, and she's having like a very vulnerable moment, right? Because she's bruised and broken and grimy, and she just feels incredibly ugly and says how she looks like shit. And Rowan says, "You're beautiful to me," he says, and he reaches behind me to chase the tear from my skin with his thumb. The next pass of his caress follows the swoop of the bruise beneath my eye. That color right there. How many things can you think of that are that color? It's rare. He grazes my bruise again, his touch so soft I don't feel pain. My lip trembles in the mirror. More tears well in my eyes. "Eggplant," I say, my voice tremulous. "It's the worst vegetable." Rowan's huff of a laugh warms my neck and sends a current through my skin. "It's not. Celery's the worst vegetable." "But eggplant is mushy." "Not when I make it. I promise you'd like it." I have an eggplant face. That's basically a dick face, a mushy dick face with a Carhartt logo. Rowan shifts the hair back from my shoulder and lays a gentle kiss on my cheek. I don't have to see his reflection to feel his smile as his lips linger on my skin. This is not having the intended effect. Let me try again, he says, amusement warm in his voice. His other arm wraps around me to unclip the first of the 2 buckles of my sling. My wince of pain is met with another kiss. That color doesn't remind me of eggplant, for what it's worth. It reminds me of blackberries. The best berry, if you ask me. It reminds me of irises. They have the best scent of any flower. It reminds me of night, just before dawn, the best time of day. But you're all the best things to me, Sloane. No matter how many bruises are in your heart or on your skin. Sorry, it's not funny. And so he like strips her down. They have the tub running, whatever. And when she gets naked, she has piercings like everywhere. Like, look me in the eye right now. Everywhere. And so he's just like in awe of this, like staring at her. "Something caught your eye, pretty boy?" Ugh. She calls him pretty boy. How many times does she call him pretty boy? It's like quite a bit, actually. That's like her little sassy talking shit nickname for him. 18 times. She calls him pretty boy 18 times. Because she's snarky. She's a little sassy girl. So he puts her in the tub. He puts her in the tub and starts to bathe her, which is very sweet. And usually, like, I love a caretaker scene, right? I love a wound cleaning scene. And he feels guilty, and right, and he's like apologizing to her and stuff, and she reassures him. I wanted to play. I was scared when we started. I was afraid that I was making a huge mistake, but finding someone who could understand me for all my shattered pieces beneath the mask, I needed that. Before you came along, something was missing. You, Rowan, you were missing. You made it safe to feel seen, safe to play on our terms, safe to have fun, even though our fun might not be everyone's idea of a good time. And so then he says, get out, like, of the tub. But I just got in. I don't fucking care. And my note just says, but her hair and the grime. There is blood and piss and shit. No, there's not. There is blood and mud and greasy grossness that has been, like, on her body for, like, at least, like, 24 hours. You drove from bumfrick nowhere, Texas to Nebraska. Let's say Omaha. I'm pretty sure we're going to say Abilene to Omaha because I feel like that would be probably the most accurate in both of these scenarios. Abilene to Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska. That is a 11-hour drive. Given time of, like, getting there, the cellar thing, when all that initially happened, burning the house down, getting it together, inevitable pit stops, getting the shoulder, sitting on the bed, passing out, whatever. Probably, like, okay, we'll say less than 24 hours, right? I'll be generous here. Still, and the grime. There's so much grime. It's not like she took a shower and then a bath. This is all still like the initial set of dirt. It's really bothering me, man. I don't want to talk about this anymore. We're changing topics. Have you seen the one meme of, like, the weird, creepy, like, game or whatever? And he's like, Robert, this rock is pissing me off.
I don't like this rock.
Oh, sorry, I don't like that rock either.
Robert,
Yeah.
it's pissing me off.
Hold on, I'll put it on here. Sorry, that's how I feel about this. The grime. The idea of the grime. Oh god, and the ice cream from earlier. Oh, I skipped over the ice cream. That was in the cannibal section, by the way, in case you were wondering. You're welcome. You're so welcome. Okay. Yeah, they bone. Okay, they start boning. I don't think I have anything else highlighted. And then chapter 17 is literally just them continuing to bone. And then in chapter 18, after the fact, he falls. When I say after the fact, I don't really mean after, because he falls asleep inside of her. Of course he does. And she can't sleep. And then, he's, like, covered in tattoos, because of course he is, right? Of course our, like, edgelord guy is, like, covered in tattoos. He's not an edgelord, actually. He's, like, pretty hot, I'm not gonna lie. Like, everything described by this man is, like, it's pretty hot. Anyway, so he's, like, covered in tattoos. She looks at one of them and she realizes it's the raven that she drew, like, a year and a half ago now, when she went to Boston, when she went to visit him, and she, like, had sketched that in the restaurant. It's that. He got that tattooed on him. Oh, that's so cute. And he's not ready to say that he loves her, right? But he does say that he would kill for her or die for her, which is very, very cute. And then they have, you know, a more of, like, an emotionally intimate moment where he's like, hey, when all that stuff happened in Virginia, the hotel guy, when I killed him, and then I felt like you wanted to leave, right? Like, I was yelling for you. You took a while to come back. Like, it was very clear, like, you didn't want to be there. Like, you almost left. Like, why did you stay? And she says, I just felt like you needed me. And Inevitably, they go to sleep, but they bone like a whole bunch freaking more. And in the morning when they wake up and they go outside of the room, they run into Fionn and Rose, right? Who they're sharing a house with. They are in Fionn's home. He does not look like he slept very well because there were people next door to him being awfully rambunctious. But Rose slept just fine because we learned from her that she was a part of the circus since she was 15 years old. So she's used to all the noise and all the craziness. Okay, awesome. She has to wear the sling for a couple of weeks. And so he tells her to like take some time off of work. And you know what? Also, you're probably going to need somebody to take care of you. And she's like, oh, it's fine. You know, I got Lark. Like Lark will take care of me. And he says, no, actually, you're going to come to Boston. You're going to come and stay with me until you heal, right? Since I'm responsible for this and I still feel bad for it, I want to take care of you. So you should come to Boston and hang out with me. And maybe we should actually try this whole relationship thing. It's kind of cute. And so we go to chapter 19. Like I said, we're nearing the end of the book already. We only have 5 more chapters. Do I have any more highlights? Nope. I stopped around chapter 18. That's fun for me. Sorry. Hold on. I was listening to music. So like I said, we only have like 4 or 5 chapters left. And so I went through and I was like kind of speed reading through them and like my notes and stuff just to get like reoriented for the next like batch of chapters to talk about. Because it's about to get crazy. I need you guys to lock in. I read the final chapter. This book is so stupid, bro. So she stays in Boston with him for 2 weeks and it's just not enough. She's just like madly in love with the guy. So she goes back home and spends 3 weeks getting it arranged so that she can work from home full time and begins taking apart her like serial killer storage container thing that she put together for the game. Like she's like getting rid of all of this evidence and getting everything figured out because she packs up the car and she's moving to Boston, baby. She's going to live with him full time now. But it's been 3 weeks since she's seen him last, right? They stayed together for 2 weeks to heal. She went home, 3 weeks getting her life together so that she can be here full time. And so in chapter 19, we open with her at the restaurant with Lark, her BFF, and they have a table reserved, like it's a permanent reservation for Sloane, and it's very, very cute. He eventually appears, Rowan does, and collects her, and he's like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. And then they go for a little bit of a walk, and he shows her the new restaurant that we talked about previously at the gala that he's opening. And he has named it Butcher and Blackbird. And there's decorations inside of like a raven, and he cooks dinner for her there. I guess her friend Lark just like fucked right off. I don't know what she's doing. I guess hanging out at the restaurant with Lachlan. I guess that's how they end up together. Who cares? Who cares about friends and consistency of characters and whatnot? She and Rowan are hanging out at the new restaurant that is not opened, and he's cooking her a bunch of the dishes that he thinks he wants to include on the menu, and then they end up boning in the restaurant, and they go home to their home in chapter 20. She moves in with him. Yay, everything is hunky-dory. It's so great. He's incredibly stressed out, though. Like, he's working so much to try and manage both of these restaurants and leaving her alone a lot. And he feels, again, really, really bad about it, but he's a busy dude, and she says it's fine. She likes to be alone anyway. Like, she's very much an introvert, and it's not, like, hurting anything. Like, this is actually a great arrangement, and she's happy to be here. Finally, it's, like, opening night of the other restaurant, and she's, like, 45 minutes late to it because Lark and Lachlan were flirting so much, and she's pretty sure that they hooked up, but the whole time that she was late, he was really, really worried and so afraid that she had gotten hurt again, and just more and more indicators that he loves her so much, and just that we're waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? And, you know, it doesn't take very long because he talks to her about their next target, and he's like, hey, what if we do the guy that I mentioned at the gala, the like local one, Dr. Rothus or whatever, how about we just kill that guy? Like, but I want to be careful about it because I don't want to worry about losing you again because there's so much on my plate already, and I don't need to worry about another thing. And she hears this and she takes it as him viewing her as a burden. And he's like, that's not what I meant. I mean, I care for you so much that I can't bear the thought of losing you. And she's like, no, you just called me a burden. And so even though she feels like a burden and she's going to leave, she tries to like kind of get it together though. And she's like, okay, still, I'll meet you here at the restaurant at 4. I guess it closes at 3. They're doing a whole lunch thing and she'll be there at 4 to meet up with him. And he says, sounds perfect. After they close for the day, everybody goes home except for him and for David, right? The guy with the lobotomy, apparently, from like way earlier in the book that she had made him hire as a dishwasher thing that we talked about earlier, right? That I said made me uncomfortable and was kind of weird. That I said, I don't know why he's in this freaking book. He got left behind. So usually, I guess the arrangement was that one of the waiters or servers or whoever was left in the restaurant always made sure that David had a ride home back to the group home where he is living. On this particular night, apparently somebody failed at their job. So he's just extra frustrated with this and goes into his office to continue working, and he'll just get David a ride home whenever he gets the chance. But all of a sudden, an unfamiliar voice comes from behind him. He feels a gun to his head, and the voice says, "Hey, Boston Butcher." Hold on. What does he say exactly? Let me read this verbatim. I don't have it highlighted, but let me find it really, really fast. Zoom, 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 zoom. Let me look. Well, the Boston Butcher. A deep chuckle and a smooth, unfamiliar voice of the man holding the Glock clash with the panic that floods my veins. I raise my hands as the muzzle presses harder into my face in warning. And your little orb weaver will be here any minute too. As tempting as that party of three sounds, I'd rather spend some quality time together, just you and me. So you're gonna make her leave. A key slides into the lock of the back door as the click of the safety releases on the gun pointed in my face, right? It's the end of the day. She's about to come back. She's the one inserting the key into the door. And if you don't, I'll kill her, he whispers, taking a step backward toward the shadows that envelop the corner of the room. He shifts the weapon, pointing it toward the door of the corridor, the one Salone will walk through at any moment. And I'll enjoy every second of making you watch. Back into like Salone's POV in chapter 21, like I said, she's still feeling like a burden, and she's thinking all these thoughts about like just how bad she's feeling. And when she sees Rowan, he's not looking very good. Like he looks very sad and very upset. And then all of a sudden he starts going off about how it's not working out between them and how she needs to go back to North Carolina because they're not normal, and pretending that they are is insane, and that like he's made similar comments before on like the 10th and the 13th of April at the gala. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've already said this before. I said it on April 10th and the 13th at the gala. We're not meant to be. Like, you need to go home." She calls him a psycho, and she storms out. And when she does, she calls Lark as she's going back to the apartment, and she's like telling her about the breakup, and she's already bought tickets to go home, and she's like, "This is terrible, this is horrible." And Lark is like, "Hey girl, what the fuck? You guys are madly in love. Why would he say that? That doesn't even make any sense." And then she takes a second and she's like, "Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And the gala wasn't even in April. What is he talking about?" So she goes through and she looks at their text messages, and like on April 11th or 13th or whatever he referenced, she had texted him and they had made a couple jokes about David. Okay. It was about the whole ice cream situation that I'm avoiding. Okay. They were cracking a little bit of jokes about that and David eating the ice cream. And so she's like, "Oh my God. Okay, weird." And somewhere along the way here, Salone had planted like secret cameras to keep an eye on the restaurant, and so she decides to check it because of how weird everything is, and she sees that David is holding Rowan captive. So she calls the brother, right? She calls Lachlan, she tells him what's going on, and asks him to look up and research David as she rushes to the restaurant to go to try to save him. In which case, I'm like, y'all didn't do that before? You guys said he didn't have any friends and family. How did you know that before? Did you not do a background check previously? Like, we didn't even try? You got people in, okay. You know what? Why would I question it? And in chapter 23, trigger warning, content warning, cannibalism, the whole cannibal stuff that we talked about before with the other guy, turns out that was actually David implementing that. And he was actually just like partnering with another serial killer to, I don't know, protect him a little bit. And then they would like work together, and he would eat the people and then the other guy would kill the people. And that was the perfect team. And that's how it worked out. And so he is like taking chunks of Rowan right now and going through that whole process. Okay. It's really, really gross. And he's telling Rowan that when Salone comes back, he is going to assault her and end her life. And Rowan is like, "Yikes, that really, really sucks.
I thought if I lied and I said all those really mean things to her and she left, that he wouldn't hurt her. But apparently he's going to hurt her regardless. And so now, instead, the last words that she's ever going to hear from me is saying these really, really horrible, untrue lies. And that really, really sucks. So he's like begging and pleading for David to spare her, but obviously it's not working very well. There's a lot more really gross, like, descriptions of things that I'm skipping over for everybody's well-being. Sloane appears. You know, she comes in, and also the other reason too is like David has a crush on her because of the way that she has treated him and how nice that she's been to him, and that's why he wants to assault her and eat her because he likes her so much. I guess. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. It's really icky. And then he ends up, when she shows up, she tries to like approach him and pretend that they're friends and buddies and she's not mad at him. And then she stabs him and he dies. And then Lachlan is going to send a cleanup crew. And as well as Fionn is going to come to help Rowan because he got like hurt, obviously, pretty badly. And so they're going to come and get him healed up. And, you know, even though all that stuff he said was a lie and he said it to try to protect her, it still hurts. It's just like compounding comments that really like ate away at her, and she just like feels really bad, but she understands, and it's just like insecure in the relationship and whatnot. But it's okay. They still love each other, and they tell each other that they love each other, and they give a big old smooch. And we go into the second to the last chapter of the book, and they're boning in the apartment. Lachlan, his brother, Lark, her best friend, is about to move in. Like, she's moving from North Carolina to Boston, so they're talking about that, and it's just setting up Lachlan and Lark's relationship. And then Rowan and Sloane, I know there's so many names, like I said, that's why I got the name thing up. Rowan and Sloane are main characters for this book. They go to the tattoo shop because she drew a little tattoo for him, and it is, shocker, a raven, like a blackbird, with a chef's knife. And so he's getting it tattooed on him. And when he looks at it after the fact, there's color in the tattoo, and it's really beautiful. And he makes a comment to the artist, you know, like how wonderful it is. And he appreciates, you know, the like, I don't know, artistic flair that the artist put on it. And the tattoo artist says, no, I didn't do that. There was already color in it. Yeah. Sloane did the colors because she started using color again because of him.
I love that so much for them. I'm so happy.
Cool. It's just like so cheesy, bro. It's so cheesy. Y'all just fail on the Bechdel test constantly. And then the very, very final chapter, chapter 24, it's called Plucked, from Rowan's POV. They have just killed that one Dr. Rothis guy, whatever, that they've talked about wanting to kill together before. There was like an ongoing joke between them about her like plucking eyeballs versus gouging eyeballs, and it's been this ongoing little shit talking that they do to each other. And he makes that comment again about how the left eye was a little gougy and how she needs to take a closer look at it. And when she looks at the guy's eye socket, there's like some stuff inside of it. There's an important document. He says they're life-changing documents, actually, so yes, be careful. With a final suspicious glance in my direction, Sloane shifts her focus to the ball of tape and cleans every ripple in the cellophane until it's free of blood. Once it's finished, she peels off the strips of sticky plastic, setting each aside until she can unfold the outer layer of protective paper. Is a folded paper napkin, and inside that, another taped present. Oh my God, Rowan, you kept this? She asks with a chuckle of disbelief as she reads my handwriting scrawled below the logo of a melting ice cream cone on the napkin. Butcher and Blackbird, annual August showdown, 7 days, tiebreaker by rock, paper, scissors, best of 5, winner takes the Forest Phantom, right? Which is what he wrote to her in the diner. Aww. Hold on a second. I say when she's read each line out loud, it's missing something. Hand that over for a second while you unwrap the other one. What are you up to, weirdo? Maybe I want to blow my nose on this highly sentimental piece of tissue. Just hand it over, Blackbird. So she does. When she's about to pull the final piece of tape from the wrapping around the gift, I place my hand over hers, the napkin folded between my fingers. If she can feel a tremor in my flesh, she doesn't say. I fixed it. I say, my eyes flicking to the napkin. Read that first. She holds my gaze for a moment before she takes the paper and unfolds it, her movement careful and slow. I watch her eyes shift over the words, her lips pressed tight. When she reads it out loud, her voice is unsteady. Marry Sloane Sutherland and love her forever if she'll let you, she whispers. Those big hazel eyes are glassed with tears when she looks up at me. I take the little napkin back, and she pulls the last piece of tape from the black cloth and unfolds it to reveal the engagement ring, a blue-gray sapphire set in gold with delicate leaves that climb toward the stone. And I drop down on one knee. So he gets down on one knee and he's proposing to her. Did you just propose on a napkin with a ring you stuffed in a guy's eye hole? I blink. My mouth opens. Nothing comes out for a moment. That feels about as long as eternity. You know, it seems pretty cute in my head, but in hindsight, maybe it's too much. She shakes her head. Not enough? She shakes it again, a few tears jostling free of her lashes. Just right? Fucking perfect. Oh my gosh. Okay. So he goes on to propose to her. He does the whole like, you're the most beautiful girl in the world and I can't envision a future without you in it and I don't want to, not ever. So marry me, Salone, and we'll go on crazy adventures forever and fuck shit up and be best friends and do karate in the garage and make love every day and grow old together. And then she's like, what do you say, Blackbird? Will you marry me? Yes, Rowan, of course I'll marry you. And it's always the same shit. This gets so hard to read. I hate this. But it's fine. Everybody wants a happy ending. Everybody wants a happy ending. And then the very last little bits, maybe I was right. We're not normal people. We are monsters. But if we're monsters, we'll thrive in the dark together. It's just such like, it's just such edgelord stuff. That's what I mean about it being like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to call it. Like, weird. I call it weird. That's what I call it. I don't know. And the book ends. There's an epilogue. I don't care to read it. They go find the Phantom guy. I don't know. There's your happily ever after dark romance. At least the guy's sweet. I love when a man grovels. I love when a man loves a woman. I love when a man is obsessed with a woman. And he was, like, from the very, like, from the jump, this dude, like, liked her first and was actively pursuing her and obsessed with her and her work and stuff. And I love that. I love that dynamic, right? Don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with their relationship in that regard. Like I said, some of the comedy aspects, I didn't read a lot to you because I just didn't read a lot to you. But if you read it, you would understand what I mean about the commentary and the humor and the nicknames and the quirkiness and the like sarcasm, shit talking to each other, which some of it was good, like I said, and I enjoyed it. And then other aspects felt a little too try hard or over the top or like, I don't know. It just like didn't land sometimes for me. And then the logistics of it. You're telling me that they didn't get caught? You didn't get caught? You're flying all the time. You got fires everywhere. You're telling me not one time were the police on their trail or anybody thought of anything or they were never close to getting found out? Nothing? And then some of it, like whenever we did her talking about why she became like a serial killer, was so like exposition dumpy and not like built up in a way that felt natural. It felt monologue-y. And there was a couple other times too where I was just like, what the Same thing with the whole David part. The big David reveal of like him being actually like a bad guy. I was like, what? Again, written so weird. I don't know why we had to do that. I don't know. Let's look at Goodreads. I feel like I'm at a loss of like word and opinion. So let's see if anybody on Goodreads is able to say it and explain it a little bit better than me. And almost everybody that like I'm friends with on here had 2 or 3 stars. Okay, we're gonna read Lexi, aka Newly Novas. She gave this a 3-star and I love them so much. So let's go ahead and read this. If you're looking for something deeply smutty and unserious, and the laundry list of bizarro trigger warnings has a certain je ne sais quoi, you know who you are and you will love this. But if not, I am not sure, friend. This is fun, but it's also foul. Its humor is sometimes laugh out loud hilarious and sometimes cringe to the point that it made me want to curl up into a ball and die. I know, that's what I said. Rowan and Salone, especially Salone, have zero development as individuals, but as a couple they have fantastic chemistry. The plot is brazen and creative and also completely ridiculous, but at the end of the day, if you expect a serial killer ex-serial killer romantic comedy to make any logical sense at all, you are going in with the wrong priorities. Ultimately, this is pretty hot and cold for me. I expected to love it based on the hype, so I'm disappointed, but it was still fine, just not completely for me. If nothing else, I respect the audacity. Brynne Weaver certainly committed to the bit. And that is exactly why I love Lexi. I could not have said it better myself. Amen. I 100% agree. 100,000,000,000% repost. You know what I mean? Retweet. That is the perfect summary of it. It was so hot and cold, so funny, so likable, but also so hateable and so cringe. And yeah, I definitely see why it has the fans that it does. I don't know. There you go. Another one in the books. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. If you got to the end of this and you were like, Kaylee, you promised us to tell us about all your YouTube faves. I know, I just realized that. I'm editing and I got to that point. I did not record it. So I currently, I have been on a Smosh kick so badly for the last year. I am absolutely obsessed with Angela Giratana. Love that woman so much. She has been such an inspiration to just be loud and goofy and unapologetically myself. And yeah, seeing her on Smosh has just been that sounds so cheesy and stupid, but like it's done so much for me personally and really like inspired me to just be myself, especially on the internet, and just to put yourself out there more, right? I love her so much. I love Damian Haas, and then I'm also a huge fan of Dropout, specifically Vic Michaelis. VIP on Dropout is so funny. Those are the big ones I've been watching right now, and then like Damian Haas's streams, like on Twitch and stuff, like watching him play video games. And then I literally just rewatch Smosh and Smosh compilations constantly. But those are my two faves. If you're in that community, you understand. I'm definitely like, what is it, like an Angela Sun, Damien Rising, and like a Spencer Moon if I had to pick my people. And then yeah, watching Dropout. I was gonna say more, but honest to God, that's like the only content that I'm consuming right now. And then I'm just playing Pokemon. If I'm not like reading a book or working on the channel or watching Smosh stuff, I'm literally playing Pokemon ZA. I think I've put 42 hours in it, and it's only been out for like 2 weeks. Almost a month now, actually, so maybe it's not as... No, that's still pretty bad. But, is that all I've been doing? I think that's all I got. Love ya. Bye.